We operate in what is called the Great Panic. Not a panic caused by chaos, but by the relentless pursuit of order. Everyone rushes around, chasing some metric of achievement, some impossible certainty that exists just beyond the current moment. We are locked in a global system of optimization stress, convinced that if we just push harder, analyze better, and control more variables, we will finally escape the fundamental difficulty of existence. But what if the source of your misery is not the life you are struggling to manage, but the sheer act of struggle itself? Have you ever noticed that the true suffering is not in the sharp, clean sting of pain, but in the frantic way we resist it, cling to it, and try to construct an elaborate fortress against the inevitable? Pain is merely a signal, a biological fact, like cold air or a bruised muscle. Suffering, however, is the narrative drama our internal storyteller, the ego, weaves around that signal. When a thought arrives or loss strikes, our primal instinct is to resist. We push against the rain, and in that act of resistance, we don't diminish the problem, we magnify it. We activate a primal system designed for immediate threat, giving the story power. The story we weave, the why me, the it shouldn't be this way, is not an intellectual choice. It is a biological reaction. Every time we resist what is, we trigger the HPA axis, flooding our system with cortisol and stress hormones. Suffering, therefore, is not a philosophical hurdle. It is a profound neurohygiene failure. It is the chronic illness caused by our refusal to let the muddy water settle on its own. Because life itself has always been, and must always be, a dance of inseparable opposites. Gain and loss, light and dark, birth and death. They are as fundamental to reality as systole and diastole, the contraction and expansion of your own heart. Your desperate attempt to clutch on to only one side, to possess a one-sided coin, is the root of all inner conflict. When you stiffen, when you grasp, when you resist the current of life, you are not engaging in a philosophical choice. You are initiating a profound biological struggle. That refusal to let go activates the ancient fight or flight architecture, demanding exhaustive resources to fight a current you can never defeat. We stiffen our emotional core, insisting on paddling against reality, and then we call that exhaustion, that chemical and neurological burnout, suffering. There is an old Zen saying, "Let go or be dragged." The suffering is the feeling of being dragged, physically exhausted, because your brain cannot accept the necessary fluidity of existence. Consider the concert hall. If you cling desperately to one note, one moment of perfect joy, you miss the entire symphony. The clinging is the job of your default mode network, the inner architect of the self, the voice that demands permanence. It is the narrator that turns a simple note of pain into a feature-length tragedy about the lonely little me. Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. Isn't that delightful? You panic because you cannot see the bottom, but the panic itself, the struggle, the attempt to force clarity, is the constant stirring. The neurological equivalent is the continuous release of cortisol and adrenaline, keeping the system in perpetual emergency mode. To end suffering, you must stop trying to force clarity. You stop grasping for control and let the neurochemistry settle. But here we encounter the deep modern paradox, particularly relevant in a culture obsessed with optimization and self-improvement. The moment you try to let go, you are grasping at letting go. We attempt to hack peace, to engineer surrender, saying, "I must stop suffering, I must drop this emotion, I must force myself to trust." The suffering ego, the very source of resistance, has merely found a new, more sophisticated technique for control. The paradox laughs because the action of trying is the final, desperate act of attachment. So what is the alternative? You don't do. You notice. You watch, you become aware of this relentless game of psychological struggle. This is not passive avoidance. This is the fundamental practice of neuroplasticity. By placing your attention on the grasping without judgment, you begin to weaken the compulsive loops of the DMN. Man suffers only because he takes seriously what the gods made for fun. Why do we cling to seriousness? Because for our ancestors, seriousness was survival. The prehistoric brain developed a profound control, bias, a need to predict and control the environment. Clinging was a life-saving mechanism. Today, that ancient instinct is misapplied, turning the cosmic play into a life or death audit. Think of the child. Pain is immediate, but it has not yet solidified into suffering. The child hasn't learned to weave the long, complex stories. But we, as adults, become virtuosos of narrative. We carry our wounds like ancient artifacts, polishing them, retelling them, building entire identities around the role of the victim. This endless narration is the DMN in overdrive, defining the self through its traumas. The prison narrator inside our heads insists, "I am my story," and this wound proves my existence. This identity built on suffering requires the suffering to be continually renewed, guaranteeing chronic optimization stress. So, we turn to the wisdom of maybe, embodied by the Chinese farmer. His philosophy is the perfect antidote to the modern demand for rigid certainty. The running horse, the broken leg, the conscription nun are labeled. The farmer suspends judgment because his perspective transcends the immediate emotional feedback loop. In our VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, the modern mind is crippled by the pressure to classify every event as good or bad, a win or a loss. We suffer because we demand the short-term guarantee, the certainty that only exists in a highly controlled, industrial age mindset that is now obsolete. The story's power lies not in being clever or detached, but in realizing that our judgments are terribly short-sighted. This compulsive labeling is the very root of anxiety. It tightens the knot. When you stop judging the plot, you loosen your grip on things. You realize you are meant to experience the mystery, not solve the problem. The attempt to escape suffering is often the very foundation of it. You fear the unknown, you fear loss, you fear death. But all these elements are not defects in the system. They are essential dimensions of the adventure. The trick is not to conquer the storm, but to understand the fundamental laws of its existence. Life operates on the principle of polarity. The opposites define the whole. The light requires the dark. The sound requires the silence. And your body operates the same way: systole the contraction, diastole the expansion. If your heart stopped alternating, if it remained frozen in a state of permanent contraction or permanent expansion, you would die instantly. Yet, what do we constantly demand? We crave a one-sided coin. We want permanent joy without the loss, permanent life without the counterpoint of death, gain without the risk. We suffer because we fight the inherent, biological rhythm of the universe, which requires the dance between the two. The more a thing tends to be permanent, the more it tends to be lifeless. Suffering is the friction caused by our desperate human attempt to make the impermanent permanent. We cling to yesterday's successes and resist today's inevitable change. But when you truly see this polarity, you stop fighting the rhythm of life itself. This brings us to the deepest illusion of all, the feeling of being a lonely little me, trapped inside this fragile bag of skin, peering out at a world that feels foreign, indifferent, and often threatening. We feel we came into this world, strangers dropped into an alien landscape. This illusion of separation, this isolated ego is rooted in primal fear. For millions of years, being separated from the tribe was a death sentence social exclusion threat. The ego's relentless clinging, its need for definition and control, is a desperate, ancient strategy to ensure it remains worthy and stable, thus avoiding abandonment. But did you come into this world, or did you come out of it? Science tells us the iron in your blood was forged in the heart of stars that exploded billions of years ago. You are not a visitor. You are the universe itself, manifesting as this particular form for a brief, glorious moment. You are the blossoming. Consider the wave. It rises, takes form, and if it could think, it would say, I am a wave. I am separate. I must cling to this crest. And it trembles at the crash, fearing its annihilation. This wave suffers only because it forgets one crucial, undeniable fact. It is never separate from the ocean. Its water is the ocean's water. Its motion is the ocean's motion. The crash is not its end, but its transformation, returning instantly to the sea it always was. This provides the only stable identity in an unstable world. Your temporary form, the wave, may collapse, but your true identity, the ocean, is eternal and unbound. The modern world is characterized by constant volatility. Trying to maintain a rigid, fixed identity, I am this job, I am this status, I am this perfect version of myself, is like demanding that the wave stop and become concrete. This attachment to a static self is the root of most contemporary anxiety and burnout. When you see yourself as the ocean, fear dissolves. Loneliness fades, because you cannot fall out of the ocean. The universe, which is your true identity, is not merely ocean, but a great, unfolding dance of opposites. The dance requires both partners. We live in a system of absolute polarity. You cannot abolish the silence and still have music. Music is the structure defined by the silence. You cannot abolish the death and still have life. Death provides the contrast, the urgency, and the exquisite beauty that makes this temporary existence so vibrant. Without the background of night, the stars would not shine. Yet, suffering arises when we forget that this is a cooperative game, not a war. We treat the darkness, the loss, the pain, as an enemy to be conquered, rather than a necessary partner in the movement of reality. The universe is not at war with itself. It is in love with itself, perpetually playing. Imagine life as a grand theater. We step onto the stage as actors, completely believing in the role, the tragic hero, the clown, the executive. We weep real tears. We strive with real effort. But the great actor never forgets this is a role. The tears are real, yet they are also play. The human predicament is that we have forgotten we are actors. We are stuck on the stage, utterly convinced the temporary role is reality itself. We take our suffering with such gravity that we miss the entire point. When you remember the role is temporary, you do not stop acting, you act better. You give yourself fully to the moment, knowing that the part is not the whole of you. You are the actor, the audience watching the play unfold, the playwright weaving the story, and the stage itself. The tragedy loses its sting. You are the aperture through which the cosmos is looking at itself and exploring itself. The feeling of separation, the lonely little me, is merely the masterful trick the universe uses to play hide and seek with itself. And the moment you realize this not as an idea, but as a visceral reality, is the moment the search, and thus the suffering, ends. So how does one stop suffering? Now, the ego's first instinct is always to find a method, a technique, a new thing to do, to try even harder to control the game. This is the quicksand paradox. The harder you thrash and flail, the deeper you sink. The way is not to grasp, but to let go. We human beings are funny creatures. When faced with the challenge of suffering, our immediate impulse, shaped by millennia of survival pressure and reinforced by modern efficiency culture, is to ask, what should I do to fix this? We demand a prescription, a 12-step program for inner peace. We want a clever hack to optimize our emotional state, to shortcut the messy business of being alive. But the very entity demanding the solution, the anxious, grasping ego, is the source of the suffering. It is the dog chasing its own tail. The harder you try to be free, the more tightly you bind yourself. Why? Because the very act of trying is rooted in resistance, and resistance is, by definition, the friction of suffering itself. We must understand this resistance is now weaponized in the modern age. We are creatures conditioned by the digital Skinner box, trained that effort yields variable reward. We approach peace not as a state of being, but as a prize to be earned through relentless mental labor. We try to control the uncontrollable, our neurological response, our future, and our past. When you say, "I must let go," you activate the default mode network, the brain's internal narrator, the prison warden which interprets letting go as a high-stakes task to be managed. This struggle floods your system with cortisol, the stress hormone. You are using the mechanism of fear and control to attempt to achieve relaxation, an inherently absurd biological contradiction. The engine of your anxiety is demanding that it be in charge of its own shutdown. It's absurd. We try to clutch the river with our hands and wonder why we come up empty. Letting go is not something you do. It is what happens when you cease doing. It is the insight that there is nothing to hold on to in the first place. It is like opening your hand and realizing the rope you were clutching was empty air all along. The great philosophical relief that Watts offers is this: the search for the ultimate method. The technique that fixes life is merely the ego's final, most sophisticated attempt to maintain control. When you see the futility of trying to force clarity, the quicksand releases you. The way out of the paradox is not to try harder, but to notice the trying itself. We find the antidote to this frantic, controlling ego in the ancient wisdom of acceptance, exemplified by the old Chinese farmer. His philosophy was a radical neutrality, maybe. His refusal to categorize any twist of fate as definitively good or bad, fortunate or unfortunate, is the system override for our modern, anxious brain. Our compulsive labeling of events good or bad, gain or loss, is rooted in a short-sighted, evolutionary imperative for certainty. In the Pleistocene era, misjudging a rustle in the grass meant death. Today, this certainty bias manifests as decision paralysis and generalized anxiety. We live in constant tension, afraid of what may come, desperately trying to lock down the future. This rigidity is profoundly unsuited for the 21st century, the VUCA world: volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. The industrial age valued fixed, predictable roles and outcomes. But the universe, as Watts reminds us, is endlessly fluid. Our misery is the friction between the universe's fluidity and our demand for fixed, permanent categorization. This relentless need to judge everything is a psychological hangover. Our 50,000-year-old brain is trying to manage a world of constant, unpredictable information flow. We are trying to solve life to make it a static problem set when it insists on being an ever-unfolding mystery. Living with the soft smile of maybe is the necessary operating system upgrade. It means stepping off the tiny ego boat that tries to paddle upstream and realizing you are the river itself. When you adopt the wisdom of non-judgment, you are no longer the solver, you become the experiencer. So then, if the alternative is not control, not judgment, and not fixing, what is left? Attention. Pure, unfiltered, childlike attention. Instead of trying to change what is, try simply to look at it. If anxiety rises in your chest, do not call it bad. Do not try to fix it. Just feel it as a pure sensation, a ripple of energy, Listen to the sound of the rain. Don't call it pleasant or unpleasant. Just listen. This is not apathy. This is neurohygiene. By withholding judgment, you deny the default mode network the emotional fuel it needs to spin a narrative of suffering. And when you do this, something miraculous happens. The world, which had grown flat and gray under the filter of labels and control, suddenly becomes alive again. Everything shimmers with mystery, the gee-whiz effect of the child. When we cease to label, we return to the direct, ecstatic experience of reality. This is the key. The universe is not a statement. It is a question, a symphony. You are allowing the music to be played without demanding the final note. The silence is not an error. It is what defines the sound. The void is not a lack of existence. It is the potential for existence. But I must warn you, to live this way feels terrifying to the ego. It feels like living without a net, because the ego desperately wants guaranteed security, certainty, a safety rope to cling to. This fear is primal. The evolutionary brain demands external security. But life offers no such thing. The tree does not ask for a contract guaranteeing spring. It simply blossoms. The deepest freedom is the realization that you don't actually have to let go of the rope, because there is nothing to hold on to. You were clutching empty air all along. This is the ultimate wisdom of unknowing. We are so desperate to pin down, to fix, to explain. But what if we could rest in the vastness of not knowing? If we could meet each moment without the crushing burden of certainty? Then life stops being a problem to be solved and becomes, simply, a mystery to be lived. The river flows, and you flow with it. The wind blows, and you bend with it. There is no plan to follow, no secret key to find. There is only this moment, this breath, this dance. And when you see this, you discover a peace deeper than answers, the peace of not needing to know. The peace of simply being. And here comes the final, profound joke of it all. The very thing you have been searching for, freedom, peace, the end of suffering, was never hiding. It was here all along. It's like looking for your own head. You can twist and turn, peer into every mirror, but you will never see it directly, because it is what you are looking from. You are the freedom you seek. You are the peace you long for. You are the universe itself playing at being you, and then forgetting, and then remembering. And the moment you stop searching, the moment you stop clutching, you see it like a punchline that was waiting for you all along. And then you laugh. The real deep down you is not a puppet which life pushes around, nor a struggling separate self. The real deep down you is the whole universe. And when you realize this, that there is no rope to grasp, no net to fall into, no separate self to protect, you stop struggling. You stop suffering. You realize that the suffering was not in life itself, but in the way we demanded that the impermanent must be permanent. The way we insisted on being the permanent guest at an impermanent party. Life, of course, refuses. Life moves, it dances, it breathes. Our suffering was the friction between our demand for solidity and the universe's endless fluidity. We discovered that the lonely I is no more than a mask, a role in a play. And behind the mask is the entire theater, the stage, the lights, the script, the orchestra, the audience. All of it is you, playing hide and seek with itself. For what is enlightenment but a cosmic game of peekaboo? You hid, and now you see. Life is not a journey with some grand prize at the end. It is a symphony. You don't play the symphony just to get to the end of it. No one listens to Beethoven's Ninth saying, "Oh, I can't wait for the final note." That would be absurd. You listen for the play of notes, the rise and fall, the silence between the sounds. The meaning is not waiting at the finish line. The meaning is now in the laughing child, in the sound of rain, in the pulse of your own unique breath. The tragedy of human suffering is that we forget the music and try to turn it into a race. We strain to arrive, all the while missing the very thing we came for. The dancing of the notes. Think for a moment of a dancer. A dancer does not dance to arrive at a particular spot on the floor. If they did, the quickest way would be to simply walk there. No, the dancer dances because the movement itself is the delight, so too with the universe. It does not spin galaxies into being because it needs them to arrive somewhere. It spins because spinning is its joy. You are not here to accomplish some divine checklist. You are here because the cosmos could not resist the artistry of making a you. You are its pirouette, its laughter, its brushstroke of color, but the dance always includes its opposite. The spin requires the stillness, the music requires the silence, the wave requires the trough. Suffering only arises when we insist on clinging to one hand and rejecting the other, demanding the light without the shadow. To live is to embrace the shadow as the necessary partner of the light. Think once more of the wave. It rises, curls, and crashes, and all the while it may tremble, saying, "I must not end. I must hold myself together." But the truth is, the wave never ends. Its water was the ocean all along. When it falls, it simply returns to itself, and you, dear listener, are precisely the same. You are the ocean waving. When you fall, you do not end, you return. So breathe. And in that breath, realize it is not you breathing. It is the cosmos breathing through you. So perhaps you wonder, what am I to do now? And the marvelous answer is nothing in particular, or rather everything. The great relief of awakening is that life no longer needs to be conquered. You don't need to force it into meaning. It is meaning already. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a mystery to be lived. Try this tomorrow morning. As you step outside, don't name anything you see. Don't call it tree. Don't call it bird. Don't call it sky. Just look. Just listen. Let the universe wash over you without the filter of labels. You will find it is alive, shimmering, miraculous. The next time anxiety rises, see if you can notice it not as an enemy, but as a ripple in the dance. The next time sorrow comes, cradle it gently like a violin note in the symphony, for everything is part of the rhythm. Remember, you are not merely listening to the music, you are the music. So, when you let go, you realize that you were never separate at all. In that knowing, suffering dissolves, right here, right now. And here is the profound simplicity when you finally ask, what am I to do now? The magnificent answer is nothing in particular, or rather, everything. The great relief of this awakening is that life no longer needs to be conquered, optimized, or forced into a meaning that is external to it. It is meaning already. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a mystery to be lived. And the technique for living this mystery is astonishingly simple, unfiltered attention. Watts understood what modern neuroscience confirms. The root of suffering is the brain's compulsive need to label, to categorize, to judge. When you step outside tomorrow, try this neurohygiene. Stop the DMN's narrative machine. Don't call it tree, just observe the green energy, the texture, the interplay of light and shadow, the thingness of it. Don't call it anxiety. Just feel the pure kinetic sensation in your chest. When you stop trying to make the universe fit into the tight, restrictive boxes of thought, the world, which had grown flat and gray, shimmers back into its miraculous, vibrant reality. This is the gee-whiz moment of the child, restored not through innocence, but through profound attention. To embrace this is to accept that you are living without a net. The primitive brain, wired for survival in the stable Pleistocene, desperately clings to guarantees. This ancient control bias is why we suffer so deeply in our modern VUCA world. A world defined by volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. The ego wants security, a safety rope to cling to, or a life hack to solve the chaos. But life, like the dancer, offers no such thing. The tree doesn't ask for a guarantee of spring, it simply blossoms. The bird doesn't demand a contract with the sky, it simply flies, fully surrendered to the air. We realize we don't have to let go, because there was never anything to hold onto. All along, you were like the man clutching empty air, imagining it was a rope of certainty. When you finally look, you stop struggling. That friction, the agonizing insistence on solidity in a fluid reality, is the precise definition of suffering. So, when the inescapable storm of life hits, when the anxiety rises, when the sorrow arrives, see it not as an enemy, but as the essential partner in the cosmic dance. It is the trough that defines the crest. It is the silence that makes the music meaningful. It is the shadow that gives the light dimension. The trick is to stop fighting the rhythm. Cradle your sorrow gently, like a violin note in a symphony. Welcome the joy, but don't cling, knowing it will pass too. For you are not merely listening to the music, you are the music itself, playing itself out in all its complex, beautiful dissonance. Watts realized the ultimate scientific truth. You are a function of what the whole universe is doing. Just as the wave is a function of the entire ocean, you are the universe manifesting as this temporary, exquisite form. You are not separate. You are the happening itself. This is the final joke of the whole affair. The freedom you have been seeking, the peace you have struggled so hard to achieve, was never hiding. It was here all along. It's like searching for your own head. You twist and turn, but you cannot see it, because it is the very thing you are looking from. You are the freedom you seek. You are the source. The suffering was never more than forgetting the playful nature of it all. The tightening of the knot was self-imposed. And the loosening? The loosening is the realization that you were never separate at all. So go now, not with heavy commandments, not with a new task list, but with profound curiosity. Look out the window. See the sky, the people, the life humming around you. Don't name it. Don't judge it. Just let it sing to you. For in the end, there is no end. Only the eternal music. Only the endless, delightful dance of energy. And in that knowing, suffering dissolves. Right here. Right now.